Becoming Awesome with Peter D. Expand your consciousness. Welcome to Becoming Awesome. I'm Peter D. We've got a very exciting interview today with Greg Joseph. Greg's been a friend of mine for a long time and an amazing healer. I think you're going to really enjoy hearing a lot about what he does and how he helps people. And it's a different approach to really find that inner core and let it blossom in you and find health and wholeness and wellness and prosperity. Now, before we get into this, please remember we're in the age of YouTube, the age of Facebook. It's real important that you help that computer algorithm. Push the like button, push the subscribe button, push the follow button. Go ahead and share this video or audio. That'll help other people learn about becoming awesome. Help direct the computer to send this message to more people. You know, let's build a lot of momentum up for the golden age. So thank you for your liking and subscribing. Now, Greg Joseph is an internationally acclaimed intuitive healer, workshop, and seminar leader. He's traveled around the globe to heal people of incurable diseases and many disabling physical, emotional, and mental conditions. He has facilitated learning for international dignitaries, physicians, celebrities, and people just like you and me. In his travels around the world, Greg has sat at the feet of masters, learning thousands-year-old ancient time-tested wisdom, as well as new proven technologies that benefit the human condition for everyone who's ready to start becoming awesome, coming into the new level, living in 5D. Greg has devoted his knowledge and natural gifts to help those find their natural talents. Greg loves the phrase, do what you love, and you will never work another day in your life. So it's my honor to introduce Greg Joseph. How you doing, Greg?
I'm great, Peter. Really good to be here. Thank you.
Good. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. So why don't we start off with just a minute or two where you tell me about yourself?
Sure. Well, Peter, most people would have thought I'd been in the restaurant business being Greek, and my father owned a restaurant. And I did work there for a while, but it was when he had his basement remodeled that I met a carpenter, a master carpenter who had learned his trade in a concentration camp where his life depended on perfection. And I had the extreme good fortune to learn from him. He never let me do carpentry because he was a perfectionist. Okay, I could pull and push and mix and turn, but what he did do was help me to understand perfection, like an attitude. So it was that attitude that got me to become a master carpenter. I began building really good, large custom homes. Everything was going great. And then my world kind of turned upside down. I was having a beautiful family, and my wife got diagnosed with a brain tumor. And then all of a sudden, all those people and transcendental meditation and gurus that people talked about that I used to laugh at became who I sought out, because allopathic medicine had sent her home really to get her affairs in order. But being that they had told us that we couldn't have children, I have 2 children and 4 grandchildren, I didn't accept her diagnosis. So they'd given her 2 weeks to live. We actually went another 11 years. And during that time, I did travel around the world to meet the masters in India and Thailand and Philippines, places all over Europe, Canada, and of course the United States as well, trying to find out how it is that people could actually heal other people. Even some people I'd heard had come back from the dead. What I found out was that it was knowledge. It wasn't some really out there mystical thing, although it seemed like it, but it was all about knowledge. And that's what put me on the path as a healer. That's how I got here today. Yeah.
Super, great. So you use all different kinds of modalities. You're not like, since I've known you, you're not a person who says, this is what I do. You do what works, and you're able to intuit that quite nicely. Can you tell me 1 or 2 processes that you engage in with people? Tell me what you've done, just so we get a feel of this, and what happened to the people you worked with.
Absolutely. This is a joy. You know, all of the things that I do really connect to one thing, and that's one thing that you and I've learned from you and other people, is that it's all about a collective consciousness. It's all about all of our energy working together. While I like to think I'm the healer, I'm simply the conduit that opens the door for the healing energy that is already inherent within everybody. The one thing that I really enjoy is doing what I call divine healing. I tap into the collective consciousness, or my I am presence. The semantics really don't matter to me. I come into a different state. And in that state, I'm able to tap into what's going on with the person in front of me, or even if they're way far away, as long as I'm in touch with their essence. And then I just wait and do what I'm directed to do. Now, that's my favorite because it keeps me out of the loop. I am actually of the healing and not in it. So I'm not affected. I don't take on anybody else's energy. I like this one the best because it is in essence, it is their higher self guiding their higher self to give them consciously whatever it is that they're needing to heal.
So tell me a story. Don't name names, but tell me somebody, or name names. So go ahead. Just tell me somebody you've worked with and what was their problem and how this process unfolded for their healing.
Oh, absolutely. One was a woman I worked with who had another woman. She'd been sent home to get her affairs in order. She had advanced stages of breast cancer. The first time she came in, I worked with her in this way. Her husband carried her in the room. And I saw that she had given up hope, and that was the issue. That was actually the issue that had allowed her to fall into this abysmal place called called cancer. And I worked with her on this hope, and I worked with her on the energies in her body.
How did you do that? Get a little specific.
Sure. Okay, specifically, I noticed that I'm very visual. We each have a certain gift. Some are visual, kinesthetic, some are feeling, some people just know. I happen to be very visual. So I saw immediately that her energy field just looked like complete confusion. So I started working just simply with her 7 chakras, and I just started bringing them back into alignment. Now, the way I did that, it's a simple thing. You can all learn it. You simply allow yourself not to think, but just to feel, or just to know, or to sense. Keep your attention there. And keep your attention, here's how it really starts. I make that person like a deity on the table. So I treat them like a Jesus or a Buddha or somebody like that. So I have a tremendous humbleness going on, that I'm not doing this for them. I am opening the door for them. That makes a big difference. That way I'm not vested in the outcome. I'm only doing what I need to do. And that frees me to do whatever I need to do.
So in this case, what did you do? You balanced her chakras, and then?
Yeah, I balanced her chakras. And as soon as they became balanced, I saw this light appear in her eyes. And then I got her to remember when she was really well, when things were going fabulous, and she was doing all of the things that she wanted to do. She came back again. We did the same thing again. I noticed that things had gotten out of balance again because her thoughts were digressing between the time that we met. I balanced her chakras again. Then we went into, I did what's called, it's like a very light kind of massage. But what it did is it put me in touch with where she was storing negative, I would call them just negative thought forms around her body. She might say she had a stiff neck or something. Well, she'd say, oh, this was a pain in the neck. I began working with her didactically and changing her vocabulary. So she wouldn't say things like, I'm sick of this. I coached her to say things like, I'm well of this. Okay?
I'm well of this. Let me say it right now. I'm well of this.
Yeah. Now you see how that triple hit, it hits you right away, doesn't it? It's like it's a command, it's a verb, and it's directing your unconscious mind to then begin working on making yourself well. So for example, she might say, she said this a lot at the beginning, she'd say, oh, why am I so sick? That's the wrong question. The right question is, what can I do to get well? And it starts your brain working in that direction. So I was working on the communication between her unconscious mind and her conscious mind to get them aligned.
Sweet, sweet. So this is interesting to me because it'll probably air right after your interview. So the following week, I'm interviewing a woman who wrote a book on, she calls it quantum languaging, and the power of saying things the way that, you got to turn in the interview because I'm just learning. I read the book and I'm blown away. Now I'm hearing you. It's like 2 weeks in a row. I read the book and now I'm hearing you say, oh, let me speak to my wellness instead of speaking to my illness. It's a whole different mindset. Now I want to just probe this a little deeper because it sounds like, well, this is all frou-frou nothing. You balance your chakras and you said to change your different words. Tell me on the energetic level, what's going on with a person when they're in the process with you, when they're doing these things? What's energetically taking place?
Energetically, what this does fairly quickly when we start working with the energy of the body, brain tends to shut down and relax. There's I don't know if it's something that's called I want to be fixed, which in this case helps because they're totally surrendering. This is what's happening. They come into this place of surrender. See, we're holding on to these thoughts as though they're real. We then defend and justify our position in life, which then sets that up. It's called an implant, and it creates it to happen in the future. So we want to interrupt all of that kind of thinking. So when they start going into this place of surrender, I can see by watching them that when they start to think again, they start to tense up again. And I'll just direct them, no thinking. Get back into your heart. Don't stop thinking. It's not going to do you any good. Those thinking processes are attached to, they come from all these synapse firings, and they create these stories in your entire body. And if you access these from the past, you are accessing it and bringing it to the present. So what I do in that point is to say, okay, you need to release all emotional attachments from all people, places, and things. And I can actually see this in the second chakra, where there's tubes of energy go out to other people or events or things, and we just bring those in. I coax those back in so that chakra is back into place.
Nice. Bringing your energy to yourself instead of bringing your energy just to be drained and depleted.
Yes. See, we so many people really want to help other people. And we've got to be careful about this because it's called giving away your power. So I say, it's as simple as this. I trusted that person. I would say, why in the world did you do that? And it's, what do you mean? We're supposed to trust, How can we get along in life without trusting people? Well, I'll tell you. Here's my take on trust, for example. I don't trust the chair I'm sitting in. I don't trust the sky outside or the trees or the wind. I don't trust floors or ceiling, especially because I've been in construction. I've fallen through them. It's like, I don't trust them. Everybody's doing this to a certain degree. When you walk into a building, you see other people there. You see the floor is flat. It's not shaking.
So let me probe you. Let me probe you just a little bit here, because if I'm understanding what you're saying, and that's the big if I'm understanding what you're saying, then, trust can be a matter of giving your power away, but trust can be also a matter of creating your power. If I walk into a situation where I am certain I am well, this floor is strong, this house is good, then I'm going to have the good experience because that's the certainty of what I'm holding. Is that a correct interpretation?
Exactly. And here's the caveat. See, you are trusting yourself about those things. You're not trusting those things. That's the difference.
Okay, that's important to know. I'm trusting myself. I'm just saying that for everybody can hear this again. I'm trusting myself about my external world as opposed to trusting my external world about me.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. All right, I'm going to be your topics because you said something quite interesting. You started talking about past and future and present. And it was just a month or two ago, you called me up and, I was teaching a class that you were in. And you said, hey, Peter, I was listening to what you were teaching and I think I got a new take on it. And you came back to me and you blew my mind by doing a process that when I was in this process, because I've done past life regression and all that kind of stuff, I actually went to either my first or second lifetime on this planet. and could identify a certain pattern and set of fear that I created back then and see all the lifetimes I've had it since then, just repeat, repeat, repeat. You want to tell people about this process of bending time and space to heal things?
Mm.
Do you even have a name for it yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you even have a name for it yet?
Not really.
Okay, just tell us about the process.
Yeah, it's basically, it has some NLP in it. It has this divine healing. It has all these different modalities, which happens to, well, for me, things just kind of mesh together. And I got onto this thing that says you've got to separate yourself from the anchors that hold you in the past, from these traumatic experiences. So you've got to be able to become the ultimate observer and look at it. Now, in order to do this, our imagination is key in this whole process. So I'll have you to go up into to above what you would call your life below, and you're looking at your life below you. And you're looking at the present moment. And then I have you can identify where your past and present are coming from. You can see where your thoughts are coming from. I ask you to go back into the past to the very first time you experienced a certain emotion. First, I'm going too fast. We extract the emotion, okay? Now, this is what's important. These emotions travel over time. We go into a place of no time. So it isn't that something happened in the past and we left it there. It's with you in the present. There's no time factor involved. So that's why you said just a minute ago really, really well. It's like if you're thinking about the past or you're thinking about what's not working, that's what you're going to have. You're bringing actually that past right into the present. So we want to disassociate from what keeps you going into the past, and that's emotion. We have a traumatic event, and we get tied to it. Then we act on that event, like we have a series of relationships.
Let's go right into
end badly.
Let's go in. I don't want to go too much into the details because we're not actually taking people through the process. Go to the part where you go above time and space and see where it got planted. And what do you do there?
Okay. You go back time and space. You see where that got planted. Then you go before that event, and you start coming through this event, erasing. You say, for example, you might say, how would I do this? Let me think of a good example. So you'd say, all right, this is my first time that I experienced abject fear. And you might go back into your past and see you were in a war somewhere and somebody was chasing you. You go before that event and you release the fear then, and then release the fear all the way through your life, all the way into the present. It sounds ridiculously simple, and your brain's going, yeah, but that's not going to work.
It was ridiculously simple because it did work. I can tell you that. And that's why I liked it.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why it came up when I was talking with you, because you're always telling me, keep it simple, keep it simple. And so I tried to do that, and it worked. So because once you release that, you stop justifying and defending your behavior, which is the behavior that creates it to happen again.
Right.
Okay.
And then people don't recognize you. They're like, people have been telling me, oh, you're softer, you're easier, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah,
people stop recognizing you.
Yeah. The idea is to say, thank you, I know, rather than say, oh, yeah, I couldn't do this. Or I always do this, or I always do that. Yeah, that's me. Those are statements that tend to hurt you and bring you down. They lower your frequency. Now, remember, in healing, everything has a frequency. All pathogens have a frequency, and they're typically lower than the frequencies of the realm that we're dealing with. And it's in science, so just science, high frequencies trump low frequencies every time. So when we can release these low energy thoughts, these low energy traumatic events, our frequencies naturally raise and health begins to happen.
Nice. So This is a time of great transition. Lots of people around us are going through their processes, and some of them it's quite a struggle because they've never had to address them. They've never looked in the mirror in this way before. For folks, I'm hoping many of the folks listening to this, we've already started to deal with some of that stuff. Things are going pretty well. And I'm seeing that a lot. I'm seeing lots of people who are going through this COVID crisis. They're more relaxed. They're making more money. They're less stressed. It's just like because their energy, they're at that frequency level you're talking about. But I want to give hope. I want to give hope to the people that are just discovering that they have this potential within and they don't have to be brushed away with the tides of the times. Can you just tell me 2 or 3 very succinct things? A person came to you with this ailment, boom, they got healed. Just let people know the range of what can be healed.
Boy, there was a little boy, this will talk to you about hope. He had degenerative bone disease. His bones were already 44% gone by the x-rays. Having talked with him just for a few minutes, he was very sad. He was sad that he couldn't play with his friends. He wasn't sad that he could die. See, that was more important to him. 6-year-old. If I could have taken off my arm and given it to him, I would have done it. He was so sweet. He was just too beautiful. And I had a bag of essential oils, one of the things I work with. And he said, "What are those?" And I said, "Well, they're oils." And he said, "What do you do with them?" And I said, "Well, you put them on or you smell them." And I didn't offer any information to him other than that. He said, "Can I try some?" I said, "Sure." I didn't tell him which ones. I didn't offer him anything. And he said, "Well, how do I know what to use?" I said, "Just put your hand over them. When you feel something in your tummy, just let me know and we'll pull it out." And he pulled out things for bone regeneration, for circulation. I couldn't have done a better job. You should all have this kind of knowledge that you can do this. He's a 6-year-old little boy and he did it. If you think you can't do something, you have trained yourself not to have hope because you naturally have it. He knew he could pick them. Do you see?
So what happened? He used the oils and what happened?
Well, he's a little kid, so I have to be very careful. So I put the oils on my hands. I put them on I just held the bottom of his feet. The more important thing was he had lost the hope that he was able to love his dad. His dad wanted him to be a man. He kept trying to get him to shoot little animals. And every time he did, took a little bit out of him. Hence, he was literally dying. He was killing himself because he couldn't kill the animals. When we got done with this, he said, "Do you mean to tell me," because he felt better instantly with these oils. He said, "Do you mean to tell me that all I have to do is pay attention to my stomach and I know what to do?" I said, "Yeah."
Trust your gut, huh?
Yeah. I said, "Yeah, that's," and I was trained too, you have more cells in your solar plexus than any other place in your body at any given moment. And every bit of knowledge is in every cell of your body. You look at a little kid and he says, "I know," and he points to his stomach. He doesn't say, "I know," and point to his head. So intuitively, he knew what to ask. You talk about, should you have hope? Absolutely. Look at this little kid. Nobody taught him. Hope that you should know all of these things. Yeah, it exists within you already.
So how did it turn out with the degenerative bone disease?
Oh, I saw this little boy 10 years later. And they invited, I became friends with his parents because 2 weeks later when he went to the doctors to have his hips measured so they could put new hips in, he didn't need the operations. His bones had grown back 88%.
Wow, in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I asked his mother, I said, I saw him 10 years later. And they said, "Do you want to see him?" And I said, "Sure." And they all started laughing. And I said, "Why are you laughing?" They said, "You see that big bruiser out there bigger than you outside mowing the lawn?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "That's him." No operations, no further diagnosis like that. He had just been given they did just give him a diagnosis that he was 99% healed.
Wow. So this is the message I want everybody listening to this to get. And that's why I'm so happy you agreed to speak with us today, Greg, is that healing's within you. And I know people are going to want to contact you because, you're going to help them facilitate healing within, because a lot of us don't believe we have this yet until we get used to it. It's nice to have somebody, put some oil on their feet. So let's see, your website is GregoryJosephHealer.com. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. The best way to reach me, probably just send me an email at greg@gregjoseph.com.
Right. And I'll put those in links below so everybody can reach for that. All right. Because we want to, you're a great carrier of hope. Now let's continue on with some, rather than examples, continue on with just a brief nutshell. What's some fundamental understandings that a person can have to be able to access all the healing power within themselves? If you had, like, you were teaching a 6-year-old, one, you taught him to trust his gut. Discernment, so important. I did a whole podcast where I talked about discernment techniques. So what else do you have for people to help them learn that they are this awesome being?
First of all, you think about, did somebody make a mistake when you were born? Or are you perfect just the way you are?
Right. God makes trash and I'm it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So understand that you're a perfect expression of God in this universe. And I use God as not a bearded guy in the sky that just send your money through to the church, I use God as an expression of the all and the everything, okay? That you are a perfect expression of this creation. And as a perfect expression, you are you're born. Think of it. If you were to be ill all of your life, most people would be born ill. But most people are born healthy. Like 99%, they're born healthy. So why on earth would you think that you're an exception to this? Now, are there exceptions? Yes. Some people have some karmic dispositions they need to handle from a previous life or something. Or, I'm going to tell you this, because we make assessments about things, we judge them and we criticize them, we justify them. I thought my wife just died after 11 years. I found out from a woman in Thailand after she had passed that she had come into this world to get that tumor to take me from macho twit builder to intuitive healer.
Wow, what a gift, huh?
Yeah. And that was her purpose in life. When I actually mentioned to her that I was no longer in construction, that I'm only doing this healing work, she left the next day.
Wow.
Now, I didn't put that all together till I met this gal in Thailand who told me the story, who couldn't even speak English and knew the whole story. Now, think about what I just said. She's in Thailand, can't speak English, and knew the whole story. What could you possibly know?
I know, the knowledge is right there for us. That's why I'm so excited about doing these podcasts, to help people get the idea that this is within us. So please spread that message, direct other people to like, share, subscribe, or follow. Just let them know, or just when you're talking with people, just keep remembering your language, keep talking about the positive, and keep reinforcing, you've got this, it's in you already, you can see what's correct. All right, let's change topics one more time, because you just got such a wealth of knowledge. There's no way I can just have a long conversation with you, because I'm a flitty kind of guy today. We're in this amazing ascension time, and all around us, it seems like the duality and the polarity is getting stronger. It seems like the forces that you might call darkness or low energy are acting out even more and more. It's getting crazier and crazier. What's happening? Nothing's making sense. I just read an article, and they were the health department in Kansas looked at all the different counties, whether they had a mask mandate or not, and they found out that the counties without mask mandates had lower cases of COVID. The ones with the mask had higher cases. So they took that data and then mandated everybody in the entire state should wear a mask. Okay? So I was like, nothing's making sense today, okay? So what advice do you have for people who are navigating these times of topsy-turviness?
Yes, that's a really good point, Peter, because we're treating the well people instead of the ill people.
Yeah.
Well, totally backwards, it seems. You've really got to look within and find yourself, your path. Because there's so much knowledge out there. You have got to discern that knowledge. I watch the news, for example. It's nearly insulting to me. I can feel my body caving in.
Right. Yeah. My advice is stop watching that. You're exposing yourself to low energy. Just
Exactly.
cut that right out. You don't
Exactly.
need to know that. You can create your own bubble of heaven.
Yeah, they've actually proved that with people watching these doctor shows. They actually contract the things they see on TV. That's your power. You have that power. So why not, instead of looking in back behind you as though something's chasing you, look within you and see what it is that you want to happen.
Right. I was listening to a channeled message the other day, and the channeler Cryon was saying, okay, it's not going to make any sense, but start every day with the affirmation of you're healthy and you're feeling good and you're happy, because you're giving your body permission to do that. And I understood that to mean exactly what you just said. Don't focus your energy on the negative problem. Focus your energy in your own personal space that you're doing well.
Yes. Where does fear come from when you think about it? It's the unknown. Right now, we're looking at the future and saying, I don't know. Okay. We can look at the future and say, I know.
I know I'm sovereign and I'm doing well.
Yeah, bingo. And that's as simple as that. But what you said it struck me, my heart jumped when you said, and it's normal that such and such happens. No, we've been trained this is normal. It's not normal. This is something we've been trained to do.
Right.
What's normal? Health, healing, and prosperity. That's normal.
The new abnormal.
Yeah. Heavy normal. Yeah.
Right. So what other suggestions do you have for people other than exert your inner trust and define yourself clearly that you are in the state of power and wellness?
To seek the greatness in others, no matter what they're doing. Address that only.
Say more.
So even if somebody comes at you blustering angry, you could say, wow, you're really vested in this. Geez, you're really focused. I admire that focus. Come over here, let's handle your anger and we'll discuss this, this issue. Like, see the greatness in everybody and understand that you and they are one. No matter the distance, no matter whether we're together, apart, but we're one. And here's the catch. You can't see in them what is not in yourself. So if you're seeking the greatness in them, you're affirming it in yourself as well. You're going to feel that power. Okay.
I knew you were great. I knew it.
Yeah. See? You're the best, Peter. What a great orator. Tremendous sense of humor this guy has. See, I was in Thailand, and the wait, you have to understand their culture. So I'm ordering food, and I'm noticing people are screaming at the waitresses. Well, they speak Thai. Everybody thought, well, they should speak English. They should speak Italian. They should speak German. No, they speak Thai. And people think if they yell and get mad at them that they'll understand somehow. They go like this. They bring somebody that speaks your language, and then they take your order, and here's what happens next. And then they smile. See, they don't know anger the way you're doing anger, so it's not within them. They just smile. It's like, they're happy that you got what you wanted. That just took me.
Nice.
And it got set in deeply. I had one story. I know you told me not to do this. They drive on the other side of the road, Peter. Now, and so I'm riding a motorcycle, and every once in a while I turn and I forget that I have to go to the opposite side. But if I'm following a car, I can, I just do it. But I turned and went the wrong lane, and this woman with a load of children in her car screeches on her brakes. We stop about 5 feet in front of each other. We're all looking at each other in horror, and then she goes, she was happy that we didn't hit, that nobody got hurt. Instead of honking her horn or screaming at me. See, we all know that we're great, and we're all going to make mistakes. Cut some slack for everybody.
Especially for yourself. I was in Thailand once or twice, and I rented a motorcycle. I hired a guide and rented a motorcycle. We were going to go over the hills into to look at the poppy fields in Laos. Okay. And so we're going to do some of that. I wanted to see what it was like, all this stuff. And so we're going on these back roads, all dirt and stuff like that. And I'm going around this one switchback, and it's all sand, and I spill the motorcycle I'm on. And my guide comes up to me and gives me a hand up and says, more adventure, eh?
Yeah, nobody's accusing you of being dumb or not paying attention. It's like, we're all human, give each other a little slack and look for the greatness of it. And just like with my wife, they learn from whatever it is that they've allowed themselves to do in your presence. It's all for you. This is another key. Understand that every single event, every person in your life is here for you. Every
Say
single
more
one.
about that.
Well, somebody, we call it, they're your mirror. Okay, so I'll tell you how this works. My sister's a paraplegic. My brother-in-law couldn't handle her anymore because he's elderly. And we finally got this lift system put in to carry them, and they wouldn't use it. And I got very frustrated. And so I left. I said, I'm going to go take a little vacation. I left for the weekend. And then I asked myself, what are they trying to teach me? What's in this for me? Why am I in the middle of this? And it came to me. Here they are at the 1 yard line. They've got all the equipment they need to do whatever they want, a handicap van, a special wheelchair, lift to put her in it. Everything's beautiful. They were blessed to be able to do this, but they wouldn't use it. So I thought, oh, I see. They went through this whole journey, got right to the 1 yard line and wouldn't cross over. And I saw where I did that around my life.
Ooh.
I really saw, I really loved the journey. And then I go, okay, that's done. I go find someplace else and don't take the reward that I worked so hard for. And I couldn't wait to come back and tell them. Okay, so I came back and I told them, and they really don't speak like we do, Peter. So they looked at me, like, okay, he's telling us this, but the joy in their eyes was unmistakable. And the next morning I hear him asking the attendant, how do we use these lifts? And they've used them ever since.
Oh, cool.
See, this is, everybody is your teacher.
I got to remember that. I got in a little tiff with my wife this morning, and all I was able to do was stop her and say, this is all true, but I'm not ready to deal with this now. And so I'm going to be going later this afternoon. I'll be going inside going, what is being mirrored to me here?
Yeah. Now this is another point. You just did it by example. Just deal with the truth. Oh, gee, I can't deal with this right now. That's the truth in the moment. Give me a few minutes. Let people have space. That's one of the hardest things we can ask for in a relationship, is space. And most people will create a fight to get space. You don't need to do that. Say, hey, I just need a little space. I need a little space. For some people, might be 2 or 3 days, might be an hour, might be 5 minutes.
And it's been interesting because I've been seeing how I've been trying to practice. It's not very easy for me yet, but it's becoming more and more easy with every step. So I just cursed myself. I'm going to wipe that away and re-speak it. It's getting easier every single time I do this. In fact, I've mastered it. And that is just listening to somebody who's being insane, about whatever it is, because there's a lot of insanity out there, being insane and not judging them for being, whatever, and just sitting there and go, wow, what an interesting way to hold consciousness right now. What an interesting way to align perspective and see this right now. Boy, I'm glad that I'm not doing that, because I do not want to be in that state of fear.
Yeah. So they're teaching you, right?
I'm doing that right and left with other people. It's like, am I doing it with myself? Am I doing it with my wife?
Yeah.
That's the key, loving myself. So this has been gold, everything you've been giving me, Greg, as far as discernment, as far as really recognizing what's going on with other people and seeing that they're great. Any more wisdom before we close this down?
One last thing, because you actually brought it up in a kind of roundabout way, is how to listen. Most people listen to gain advantage, to think about what they're going to say next.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You see what, or to win,
Oh, I'm winning. I'm winning. I am.
Instead of listening to understand, to know. So take what somebody's saying, and here's a great way to do it. Instead of looking in their eye, look in their eyes, look at their third eye, but only pay attention to your heart. It's a really cool thing. And our friend GW told me this is an algorithm for telepathy. So if you want to learn telepathy, this might help you. But you look in their third eye, and most people can't tell. If you notice, most people aren't even conscious enough to be looking at you while they're talking.
Right.
You look in their third eye, and you pay attention to your heart and listen to what they're saying. Let me reframe that. Listen to the essence of their conversation. Some people are just poor communicators, but they're really saying something beautiful. So don't shoot the messenger. Look for the message. and respond to the message. Okay, this is so key. And then just speak your truth about that message, like you did. Gee, I'm not ready for this right now. I can handle this later, but not now. See, that's just a simple truth. Who could dispute that?
And it was funny
Somebody
too,
could.
because once my wife got off the path of having to remind me of my flaw at that moment, once she got that, like once she was able to let that go, and I said, okay, look, I'm pretty aware that I've got this. I will ponder it. And she goes, great, because I know you. Anything you bring awareness to, you solve.
See, you just forged a beautiful relationship. I mean, we could go on, but it's like, yeah, invite people to this consciousness. We're doing it with these Power of 8 groups, finding out that we're all one. Our teacher Alexander used to call them circles of light. I didn't know the import of it then until you and GW explained to me how this actually scientifically works. I just knew it worked before. Now I have proof that it worked as though I needed it.
Well, great. Well, you're setting me up because I've been thinking for a couple of weeks I need to do a podcast on the nature of group consciousness, because I haven't done one to just explain how group consciousness works and all the stuff. And maybe you'll motivate me because I've got much malaise right now.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, my process right now is go be outside as much as I can and then binge listen to science fiction books. Okay. That's my process right now. And until I find something different, my wife says to me, Peter, it's your podcast. You don't have to do every episode you think you're going to do.
See now, this awareness process. Look how tough you are on yourself. Boy, I'm going to do this, and I've got to do 400 of them. Who said?
Right.
You could decide tomorrow. Say, well, I'm going on to better things. Someone else will have to take that place. And the world probably wouldn't end.
Right. Well, I'm still going to do more podcasts because the interview things I'm loving, and there's lots of stuff that I feel like when I'm not in the space of just sitting in the backyard and binging out. I'm when I get in touch with my sacred higher self and I'm calm, it's like, Peter, you got a lot to teach. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Yeah. And it's kind of funny too, because I don't have the, I have all the ego stuff. Like I don't have the numbers of views like everybody else or this and that. And they're always, my sacred higher self's always talking to me, Peter, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. And you're also building a library so that when the time is right, other people will have it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Anytime they want. Or when, most importantly, just like us, when you get to a place where you can hear.
Right.
And we all have our time frame and our process. So I couldn't hear this as a macho twit builder. You talk to me about this stuff later. I'd laugh and say, yeah, let me get you another beer. That's how it was. And that was my God, beer and cigarettes and driving fast cars and big heavy equipment and feeling macho about that, That was my reality then. And it has completely shifted since then.
Thank you, wife.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Gregory Joseph. You can reach him at greg@gregjoseph.com. That's an email. I'm posting his website below this, and that's going to be gregoryjosephhealer.com. All right. So, there's lots of good stuff. Greg's a beautiful teacher and just a soft voice that you can reflect off of and see your own inner greatness while you're in that conversation with him. Hopefully you got a taste of that today. Please remember, like, share, subscribe, and follow. Let's get this word out there because we're all beautiful. We're all becoming awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Anything you want to say goodbye, Greg?
Just love yourself the hardest and the best you can. The rest will fall into place.
All right. Love you all. Many blessings.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.